A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, welcome. Lovely to see you. And I'm so pleased to be able to welcome back Dr. Anthony de Pontes. Lovely to see you, Anthony.
Yes, good morning, Mary. Here we are again. Hey, we're going around the materia medica, I think.
Yeah. We are going to do the most amazing series about some of our remedies. And this is such a brilliant way to start because you have chosen Thuja. Tell me why, first of all.
Well, it wasn't my first choice, and I'm glad you only asked me to do it now because actually going into it and preparing for it, it's like if you would have asked me this maybe 5 years ago, I would have given you information, but I would have given you like a flat rendition of Thuja. You'd have been like bored out of your mind. The information would have been good, but you would have been bored out of your mind. I with the experience and I think also, the time that we live in, I think Thuja is more and more in the spotlight. And the reason I say that is because if you look at all the secrets going on in the world and all the shame that so many people are experiencing and the amount of sexual molestation and sexual abuse that is there. Now, to be honest with you, that's been going on since time immemorial, but it's like coming out now, and I think it's really intensifying. So what I would say is previously, whether it be your family or your friends, you'd never ever think that that person was abused or sexually molested or raped or anything like that. They'd go on and they'd keep that facade up. Everything was good, okay? But and they call Thuja the tree of life. So it's like this mechanism of those roots that are deep down in the dark, in the shame, in the secrecy, in things that are broken and ugly, and then the tree that reaches up to the sky and up to heaven, and how Thuja can literally lift your soul out of all of that dirt and depravity. And if you don't know much about homeopathy, you'd say, wow, this guy's like really reaching and using all that terminology. But if you have been in that fragmented state, and I'll say to you, Thuja is a fragmented state remedy because a whole person has got the physical, and we all see the physical. So you've got the physical, you've got the emotional, you've got the mental, and you've got the spiritual. So I'll give the example of, hey, let's look over there and we see a child that's looking so happy. They're running around, they're laughing, they're playing with their dog or their friend or whatever it is. That is like a child that is whole. All the mechanisms or all the bodies are interacting in a beautiful way. Now, when that is taken away, where we've had sexual molestation or rape or any of these terrible things happen to a person, to cope, they fragment out. Typically with post-traumatic stress, the thing of the person that goes numb or they don't remember these things. Okay, so this person is fragmented out. And with Thuja, you're looking at secrets, or they all feel like they're dirty, or especially when it comes to the sexual aspect of things, where it be the genitals, they've got genital diseases, or they've got candida or vaginal discharges, and those are things that no one must know about. Also, something that is very interesting to me is what we call like a body dysmorphia. The person might look perfectly good, maybe even attractive to you, but inside them, they don't feel that. And they are continually trying to take your attention away from what they would call their weak spots. Okay, or my nose is too long, or my bum is too big, or whatever it is, and they go overboard to do that. To, if I can use the terminology, almost to cover up the sin by doing or showing you the good parts. So that would happen where they are, wow, she is so good at her job, or she is such a good teacher, and perfectionistic. Okay, it's to pull you away so that you can just see the light and the good in them, because they are feeling so bad or so humiliated or so sexually dirty. All right. So this body dysmorphia is something that they are feeling. Like I said, you look at that person, they look great, or even they are acting normal, but inside of them, that fragmentation is broken up. And I'm seeing this more and more in my patients. Like, I'm specializing in autoimmune diseases where there has been a lot of suppressed emotions. And these are my statistics, but I would say 80% of women have had sexual abuse of some kind. All right. Some say, well, I don't think it's affecting me today.
Yeah.
But these symptoms that I've spoken to you about, you don't just go and get the patient to share these with you on the first appointment. It's almost like they have to feel so safe and so supported to even let something out. So we have to have a look at other ways to manifest this information, and that's where we can go and look at the psychotic miasm that Thuja is bound to. So where you'd have a look and you'd see warts. Okay, now warts are a manifestation of shame and disgust. Okay, so you could often have a look and see where are you getting the wart, and you could relate it to that. So the genital wart on the genital organ. But it's not just warts. You can have like where you have excesses, and Thuja is always in excess. So, let me give you an excess. I'm sitting here giving Mary a conversation on Thuja now, and now I'm going excess, and it's bigger, and it's all, I'm trying to compensate. Thuja compensates all with excesses. Or if you have a look at what I'm going to eat, I'm eating in excess.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything is in excess. When we look at the physical symptoms, they have a tendency to have the mucus membranes. They've got catarrh, or they've got water retention in the under the skin. They've got these warts, but they can also have cysts, or they can also have like fibroids. Fibroids is a huge thing today. When we look at fibroids, we look at, it's hormonal imbalance. And with Thuja, you get hormonal dysregulation.
Yeah.
So the suppression of the hormones, most of the time around the estrogen, causes that fibroid to grow. Okay. And we can go on ad infinitum about all of that. But when you're looking at causation, you would say, okay, well, the contraceptive has stopped the flow of the hormones. But you can take that as far as an antibiotic, as far as a contraceptive, not a contraceptive, corticosteroid. So it's affecting the autonomic nervous system, or what they call the reticular activating system. All right, so it's a really deep-seated thing that comes back into the physiology of the body.
So what you're talking about then is a remedy that is full of excess, of growth, of overcompensation, effectively.
Yes.
So whatever we see, whether it's emotional or physical, we're going to see this overcompensation in some way or another. So that means really that whenever we see that overcompensation, we see extra growths, we need to consider, is this Thuja? What is this hiding? What is behind this? And so obviously that leads to certain questions that we might explore with patients who could possibly need a Thuja remedy. Because it's a huge identity, isn't it, as well? It's as you said, you've mentioned that shame, you've mentioned that secrecy, you've mentioned that growth, all of which takes a while to get to know somebody, to see any of that. Because occasionally we have clients where we just feel something's not right.
Yes.
It doesn't add up.
So, here's the thing. We're just talking so generally and casually. There might be some people watching this podcast is like, you know what they're talking about? This is like hectic stuff. Mary, we consult with people day in and day out, and it is something that is very common. Now, you don't go in there and say, well, were you sexually abused or were you raped, but we hear it, so we are sensitized to it. And when you're talking and interacting with the patient, you've got to take those signals, and then you would, like, when you're repertorizing the case, you'd see the picture forming, And ways that you can pull this out a lot quicker is we talk about the vaccinosis. So, okay, you put it together. They got the HPV vaccine, human papillomavirus vaccine, okay, which is related to the genitals as well. After that, they can get warts. Something that's quite interesting is that the degree to which the Thuja state comes in, let's use an example. I'm going to go and get a vaccination today, and that vaccination is going to have a negative effect on me. So I'm going to use Thuja from a vaccinosis point of view. But let's say the week before or the week after I am sexually abused, or there's some secrecy or shame there that I can't process, that vaccinosis effect will jump up to a much bigger degree. So you will often find the physical symptom manifesting aggravated, increased, if there is that secrecy or that shame or that, yes.
Okay, it's almost a trigger, isn't it? Because we find a lot of people come to us and say, well, I'm just about to go for an X-ray. Shall I take Thuja? So let's talk a little bit about that, using it as a first aid remedy. Why? Why does it come up for that?
So you're using it for, if you take an X-ray, what is X-ray doing? It's going deep into the body. Okay. So I don't like that. I don't want you looking into my soul, because I am fragmented, so Thuja would help with that. And then if you want to just go a bit more superficial, the suppression or the palliation that those things might cause, Thuja is going to help your body, your immune system to clear out. Bringing that up, there's a symptom in the Thuja materia medica. They say that their body feels like glass. Okay.
Yeah.
And initially I was like, oh, okay. And I don't know who it was that said, sometimes the patient will even say that to you. Well, I'm thinking, like, no patient has ever said that to me. Okay. I don't know about you. But if you interpret it from this perspective that, your body feels like glass, what happens with glass? It's very fragile. It can break easily. So the person feels fragile. Okay, and that is that symptom of their body feels fragile and feels like they can break because they've been fragmented in so many pieces. That is the manifestation of that symptom.
As you're just talking to me, I just thought of something, and I don't know. What do you think? The idea of I feel like glass. Of course, glass we can see in, and that's why they're putting a cloak around them to hide what's inside.
Exactly.
So it's like they're walking around. We often say walking around with a mask, or people say they're masking. You say, how do you cope with this situation? Oh, I mask. And I hear that quite a lot.
Oh, it's got so much, because if you have a look at it, let's go back 20 years. Hey, my life was private, but today, how much is private? Everything is, all the cameras are everywhere, the social media, all of this. So it's actually changing the manifestation. And Thuja, that's why I said Thuja is coming in at such a rate. And I won't say that I've been using it at such a rate previously, but it's making itself manifested a lot more clearly in pictures, in the remedy pictures and in the repertorization. And also with the repertorization, you've got to understand the patient more and put the dots together to say, yes, that's a Thuja state, because you could also quite easily use a maybe they're in an opium state. They don't want to say anything. Okay. So you've got to be able to see the differences of what is happening, because they're not going to tell you that, oh, I was raped and some of the things. And when you look at relationships, it's a give and take. But if the person that's been abused, they're not being difficult or bad, but they can't enter into that relationship and have sexual intimacy because they feel dirty, because they feel hurt, you know. And if you can give that gift back to the person to be able to get them to be in unison with their partner, what a gift. Because often, and this is one of the case histories, a young lady, she was abused when she was young by a cousin. Didn't tell anyone. That's a secret. That's keeping it in, the suppression. And she grew up in a very religious home. And so none of this could come out. Then she got married, and it was like terrible. Intimacy, sexual acts were the worst for her. Didn't enjoy it. And so you can imagine what that does to a relationship. And then she had the HPV vaccine, and she got the warts, and she got treated with the Thuja. And, you know, over a process of time, the warts came off, and even her ability to have intimacy with her husband, it became tolerable. And then towards the end, when the cure occurred, it was pleasurable.
Okay.
Now, you know, people don't often think about that. They're thinking more on the physical. Okay, thank goodness the warts cleared off. Well, she was also her body excretions. She couldn't cope with the smell. Okay, but that was mostly in her head. She wasn't smelling, but for her and the emotional pieces being put together, she felt dirty and bad, so she couldn't enjoy the sexual intimacy.
And that's quite an incredible story, isn't it? The fact that people come with one thing, they have a remedy that really fits, and then the remedy goes much, much deeper. And we often find that actually with homeopathy.
Yes, yes. So, you know, we talk like treat the person for what they're coming for, all right? But then you know, and this is the beauty of the miasms, and it just takes you down the path to get right back to source, get right back to the hurts from when they were small, or the things that haven't been dealt with. It's huge. So it's a remedy that is used more and more in my dispensary, and the way the person, you know, you often can get aggravations, right? So these aggravations can be quite severe on the emotional level. So it's important to stay in touch with that patient, or even just say to them, listen, if you need to speak to me or things start coming up, remember they can't talk about it.
Yeah.
So now it's even more difficult.
So providing that support is huge, isn't it? And just that understanding that things might be changing emotionally inside.
Yeah, because most people, maybe it's not the right way to say it, a lot of people don't know how to manage their emotions.
No.
That I wasn't brought up like that, or those things you just keep quiet. You don't talk about those things. So when I get a new patient, I'm going to start teaching the ways to be able to express, to be able to be fully out there, and to be able to fully understand what is actually happening with, whether it be with your partner or in your work environment or with your kids. Anyway, Thuja is really great to blow that wide open and get the healing going.
Yes, it is. So you mentioned a couple of times the fact that when people then have a vaccine or have something which actually brings out perhaps something that has been in the body for a while. So obviously with more and more vaccines or hospital procedures, the testing is now through the roof, isn't it? Thuja is such. I'm just intrigued that whole thought of actually, what is Thuja going to do if you keep taking it when you're having all of these things? Because it's much deeper than we give it credit for, isn't it?
Well, let me give you another example. So the history of this is that this patient had a history of she was actually feeling bad in herself for some things that she had done, but she, and so many people say, no, I'd work through it, but then it kind of keeps coming up, keeps coming up. I forget what the full details were, but she was having a mini freak out. I think they were going on a holiday, or there was some fear that kept coming up, and it was a fear of about her health or about cancer, that type of thing. So, you'd normally think arsenicum or something like that, but I took it. It wasn't about the arsenicum situation. It was based on the history of what she had been through, and she wasn't able to release that shame of her action. And she got a real high potency Thuja, and the next day she was so much better. So it works really, really well when you can hit that nail on the head. I haven't had bad aggravations where they like have a freak out emotionally and go psychotic or anything like that. So don't worry. If you hear us talking about this, it's not dangerous in any way. Good homeopath, and you will really be doing well.
Yes, yeah. Well, as you said, sometimes your emotions might change. It might be useful to have somebody that actually is there to support you through this. But you're right, I've never had an aggravation or anything that and it's such a useful remedy, isn't it? There are so many aspects where you might be considering
Yes, and especially today with COVID, etc. Like you say, testing is through the roof, and everybody's got their ears up and open about vaccines and vaccines. It's beautiful remedy. It's a game changer for us as homeopaths, and still people don't the penny hasn't dropped for them,
Yeah.
So maybe because we're just excited about it because we actually see it working in daily life.
I think that's it, isn't it? And when you see Thuja working, I remember at college we used to do patients right from the beginning. We used to sit in on live consultations, and whenever the picture was completely cloudy and just not working, something wasn't right. But obviously this poor person has had to share their soul in front of not only the homeopath but also the class. You know that you're not going to get that personal rapport, and it just didn't add up. And then they'd have Thuja and they'd come back a different person almost. It was just like they were able to be them.
Yes. And when you say that, like for a second, you might think like, no, she must be putting it on. It can't just be as exotic and as excessive like that. But it really is. You change the emotional component of the person. You get that autonomic nervous system, or you get that vital force to jump in and start doing its thing, and miracles literally happen.
Yes, yes, yes. I love the whole concept of homeopathy changing the frame in which you see things. Because quite often you can't change the past, but you can change the way you look at it.
Yes. It makes a whole different way forward for the person. And this is often something that maybe if you are new to homeopathy, you still have an inkling towards, okay, I normally go to the doctor once a year, okay, and he'll give me medicine. So now this homeopath is wanting to see me every 1 to 2 months. Like, whoa, that's a lot of money, or that's taking a lot of my time, or whatever the situation is there. But if you can get someone to commit to see you for like that for a year, after that year, then you can turn it around and say, look back. Let's have a look where you came from this to this to this. And then then the penny has dropped. Then they realize what a forward movement has been. And then they will pay over and over again for that. As they see that the healing occurring, they're getting extra energy, they're getting positivity, they are able to, solve problems, etc. So,
And people quite often don't see the relationship between a physical symptom and their emotional being. Have you got
yes.
anything that you can add to that?
So they've been through some type of shock or some type of experience where they've shut down,
Yeah, yeah,
and yes, you're talking, and it's just going round and in one ear and out the other. That's why it might take a bit of time. I like with my patients to get them to talk a little bit, and then I use what I call dumb examples. Or I say, I'm going to act real dumb now. I'm going to ask these questions. So I'll ask them pointed questions to think about it. So do you think you have to carry this burden by yourself?
mhm,
Well, my mother did it, or my father did it, or it's been like that throughout our family. Oh, that's great. Yes, but what if we could change it?
mm,
So you've got to start changing their belief system slowly.
yeah,
It's the results are amazing when it happens. It doesn't happen with every patient,
no,
okay?
no,
But you get those I'll call them those diehard patients that are really committed and they will stick with you for that year, and then after that, then they're really sold because they see the changes happening. Or it would be something like this. Mary, I haven't seen you for a year, and now I'm your friend, and I see you. We go out for tea or coffee or something. Wow, you're just glowing, or you are like so positive, or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
So it's that's another way to see it.
It is, isn't it? And it's, as I said, living life through different glasses, seeing the world in a different way, opening up the mind, opening up
Mhm.
questions and curiosity.
We were talking a bit about your new move and your new community, etc. So if I take it to the extreme, where you see a lot of people are living in cities, in little homes, in high pressure situations, the pressure's on them continually. Okay. So it's very easy for me to say, oh, I'm just having such a whale of a time, etc., etc. Maybe I'm not in that pressurized environment.
Yeah,
But if you can use the homeopathic remedy to help take the pressure off the environment, the vital force can respond and they can start to feel the joy or the activity or the energy or whatever it is that previously was holding them back.
that's an interesting concept because actually, of course, when we look at the environment pushing pressure on us, our
Yeah,
work, our family, it's actually how we are receiving that pressure, isn't it, that we have control over. We don't have control over anybody else in the world or what they think or feel or do. But the only thing we do have control over is how we accept that pressure. And if homeopathy can help us accept it in a different way or return it so that it doesn't actually feel like a pressure for
yeah,
us, then everything in your life changes, doesn't it?
absolutely. They talk about epigenetics, and the environment is the thing. The epigenetics pulls fires the bullet, and the genetics is the gun. So if you can get your environment to be more healthy or more light or more able to support you, then you are definitely going to fly. You are going to feel life is easier. Things are coming to me. I'm able to achieve things. And homeopathy will help you to do that. We talk about the miasms, and wasn't Hormonal talking about, we talk about what is it, psychosis and the dampness. And they used to live in cellars and that type of thing. So that was a component of the environment that was putting pressure on you. So today we've got a different environment. We've got all the EMFs around us. We've got all the blue light and everything. But it's maybe a different outfit we're wearing, but it's having the same effect on our body.
You're absolutely right, because he was, of course, in the times where they didn't have chimneys in the houses, so they'd light fires, but the smoke wouldn't go out. And now we've just got other
Yes.
environmental
Yeah.
attributes. At the end of the day, we need our bodies to be as strong and as resilient as possible in order to stay healthy.
Yes. That's it. That's it. And homeopathy definitely is one of the tools in your toolkit to do that.
Anthony, it's been so lovely talking to you again today. Thank you so much.
Great, Mary. We'll do it again when we go around on the next ideas that we're having, right?
And we will see you very shortly in September for our conference, our homeopathic conference.
Perfect. Okay. You go well, Mary.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for coming in and talking with me about Thuja. It's been a great insight, hasn't it? Next week, I'm going to be talking to Elisa, and we're going to be talking about the remedy Lycopodium. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope you'll be able to join us. Take care. See you soon. I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.